Hi everyone, it's Donna from Spaceman Paper Crafts, and I am back with another design team video today for the lovely Gareth at embellishmentemporium.com. Just a quick bit of information for you. If you follow Gareth, you will know that he has decided to rebrand. You know, we as customers and as friends of Gareth, you know, we're not going to be losing anything. We're going to be gaining a new Facebook group where the groups that Gareth has now will be combined. As far as I'm aware, Gareth, if I'm saying any of this wrong, please just drop a comment in the comment section for me, just so, because I don't want to get anything wrong. But yeah, I think it's an amazing idea. And he is going to be, as I say, rebranding, and he's going to be changing the name of his store slightly. If you follow Gareth on Facebook, you will know all this already. So from me, who I'm currently, I think, the only design team member on the team at the moment, from me, I just want to wish you a huge success with this, because, you know, if anyone deserves it, you do. So I am thrilled to be part of that. Okay, so design team video today. Gareth has sent me some beautiful Christmas sets, okay, and you will see that there is something missing from both and they are these stencils, okay. And I'm going to be embossing using the stencils and Versamark ink. So I like to utilise stencils as much as I can, really. Inking them is really good as well, obviously, but I just thought for Christmas cards, simple one layer cards with no dimension but a nice sort of vibrant look would be something, you know, that I'm hoping to have and send out to my family members this year. So I'm going to pop those to one side just for a minute. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the embossing things that I've got. I always use Versamark. There are tons and tons of embossing inks. I think most companies have embossing inks now, but I've always been a big fan of Versamark, and, you know, I don't really like change. so I stick with the Versamark. So what I've got is I've got 3 different Versamark inkers. I've got the Versamark pen, which has got the brush tip on one end and a bullet tip on the other, which is really good, and which I will probably use for this, for at least for the Christmas tree anyway. Then I've got a mini pad, a mini stamp pad, which is handy to just, you know, if I'm stamping little areas like today and I want to be quite specific, you know, as to where I want to put it, it's a lot easier to manage with the smaller ink pads. And then I've obviously got the standard size Versamark ink pad as well. Also, for embossing, you will need some sort of embossing powder tool. You need these really to remove any of the static or any sort of oils and things that are on your hands that you could possibly transfer onto the card, and the embossing won't stick to it. So that's why you need something like this. Now this, I've got, there's quite a few on the market, but this is an EK Success one, and this has just got the brush tip on the end, so you just brush the powder over your cardstock. All of the powder actually does wipe off afterwards. This one is one that I bought from Amazon, I believe, which is very, very good. It releases a lot more powder than this one, which is sometimes a bad thing, especially when you're working on darker cardstocks. So just bear that in mind when you decide which one you want to go for. Embossing powders I'm going to be using, I don't have a favourite. I really, really like a fine detail white embossing if I'm you know, embossing sentiments and things like that, or embossing stamps to watercolour and things like that. But today I'm going to be using the Wow Metallic Gold super fine embossing powder, and I'm also going to be using this one. This is by Heat It Up. This is silver embossing powder. So that's what I'm going to be using today. And I've got a tray as well, because, you know, I'm quite messy when I emboss. It goes everywhere. So I'm just going to put this to one side for a minute and bring in the first piece of cardstock. Now I've just made some card bases. I've scored them, but I haven't folded them yet because I want to keep the stencil as flat as possible. So which way is the card going to fold? This way, and this is going to be the front. So I just want to try and centre the stencil. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a pencil and I'm just going to roughly mark the top and the bottom just to see if I'm about central. Yeah, that's okay. So I'm going to line that up again about there, I think. So I'm just going to get some low tack tape. This is just post-it tape, and I just want to tape down the stencil. And I can reuse this tape as well. So for this one I'm going to be using the Versamarker, and what I forgot to do was use my tool, so I'm just going to quickly do that now because I only want the embossing on this on the centerpiece here. So I'll just quickly run over that with my powder tool. Okay, so I'm going to emboss on silver, with silver even, and I'm going to get my tray ready. So I'm just going to take my Versamarker and I'm just going to stencil. And it's a really sticky ink. It's a ink that will stay wet for a long time. Alright, so then I'm going to peel this stencil off, hoping that I've got everything. Looks like it. So then I'm going to, because you can see that the cardstock is still wet there, so I'm going to sprinkle on my silver embossing powder, overdo it as usual. Now sometimes you get bits of embossing powder where you don't want it, like here, so you just get a dry paintbrush and brush that away. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my heat gun on, and the heat gun I've got is this is a Dovecraft one. I've had this for I don't know how long now. I've got a couple of different ones, but this is the one that I like. It's got 2 speeds on it, which is great. So I'm going to turn the sound down, and I'm going to heat up my heat tool, emboss this, and you'll be able to see it. I'll speed through it so it goes a bit quicker, but you'll be able to see what it looks like when it gets embossed, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, just a quick tip for when your cardstock curls up, because it will curl up with the heat. Just flip it over and then heat it again. So that has flattened out a bit now, and then I'm just going to fold my card in half and then just grab my bone folder, crease it down, and I just think that turns out really, really lovely. The effect is just beautiful. You don't even need a sentiment. There are, however, some wonderful sentiments in these sets. Joyful Christmas Wishes is lovely. Actually, I might stamp that one, because that is quite a nice sentiment actually. Okay, so I'm just going to line it up where I want it, and then get my embossing tool again, and then this time I'll just use my little Versamark pad, This is perfect size for inking up sentiments. It's going to be hard to see because I can't quite get my head over, but I'm going to go for it and see what we get. That looks alright to me. Yeah. And just sprinkle a bit more on. Then I'm just going to heat this up and then I'll be right back. Now, although this has curled up a little bit more now with the heat, if you leave it underneath a book overnight, it'll flatten out and it'll be perfect, ready to pop in the post. So that's the silver one. So I'm just going to tip out, empty this tray of the silver. So I'll just quickly do that and then I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm all cleaned up and ready to go with the next one. And I think I'm going to do this one sort of in the corner, sort of here like that. So I've got the post-it tape that I used for the other one. Try and tape it down as best I can so it doesn't move too much. And again, I forgot my powder tool, so I'm just going to do that quickly. You think, you know, once you make a mistake once, you'll remember for next time. Never mind. Okay. Don't want any bits from the brush head in there. This time, I think I might press the ink pad in just to see what we get. Let me just move you a bit more in frame so you can see what I'm doing. I'll zoom you in just a little bit as well. Just make sure this is stuck nicely so it's not going anywhere. So I'm just going to stamp the ink pad all over the area. Okay. Now with the first one that we did, we didn't need to clean the stencil at all because we were just drawing with the embossing pen on the paper. This time we're going to need to clean our stencil because otherwise it's going to stay really, really sticky. So let's just peel this off. Try and not move the stencil too much. Okay, and then I'll just carefully lift it off. That looks good. See, it's gone a little bit over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and hopefully, if I get a little bit of my my powder tool on there, hopefully it won't stick. But if it does, it's not a problem. We can sort it. Okay, so this time with the gold, I'm just going to tap it over the whole image. These trays are fantastic as well because they just catch everything and you can just funnel it all back in when you're done. Okay, let's see what that looks like when it brushes off. So we've got some stowaway little bits of embossing powder, but it's nothing major. You just need to make sure that it's really well covered in the areas that you have put your embossing ink on. Okay, that looks good. Right, let me pop the lid on because I'm known for tipping over my ink pads, my embossing ink. Okay, so I'm going to heat this up now and then I'll speed it through so you don't have to listen to the noise of the gun. I'm really sorry about the glare of the light, guys. It's really late here. I'm filming this. I think it's, let me just check. yeah, it's 1 o'clock in the morning here in the UK, so this is where I'm filming. So I'm just going to heat this up and emboss this, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I'm just going to fold this over, give it a second to dry a bit, still a bit warm. That's it, I'm just going to fold it over. Grab my bone folder. Nice crease. Okay, and then I'm going to use a different sentiment, I think. Do you know what? I think I'm going to use both of these together, the good tidings, good cheer. Okay guys, looking at this now, I'm getting, that is starting to bug me a little bit. So I'm going to show you how we're going to fix it. So I'm just going to get my Versamark pad and I'm going to just run it around the sides, all 4 sides, like that. And then I'm just going to use the embossing powder that's in here. Brush and just tidy that up a little bit. Again, if you've got a dry brush, even if you take too much off, you can put it in again. I think this is going to look much better actually than it was. And you can see I've just knocked my embossing powder over then. Good job the lid's on. Okay, so we just need to heat this up. Okay guys, there's our finished cards. I really like how this looks now on the edge. I may do the same with the silver. It is slightly warped through the heat, but as I say, if you leave it with something on top of it, a paper pad, anything like that, it doesn't have to be anything really heavy, it'll find its shape again. So I absolutely love how these turned out. So these stamp sets and well, these full sets, the stamp sets and the stencils. Let's get the right one with the right set, shall we? These are both available in Gareth's store, which is gsembellishmentemporium.com, and I'll leave the link for that in the description bar, as I will for all the links of Gareth's YouTube channels as well, so you can keep up to date with the rebranding changes that he's making. So yeah, once again Gareth, massive good luck with everything. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. And yeah, thanks so much guys for watching. I hope you pop over to the store and pick up your sets. Thanks guys, bye for now.